What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Melanin Militant. Today is another Word on the Street edition of the show, and we got a lot to cover. First, as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like my jacket, the link to the black-owned brand that I got it from will be down in the description below. Unfortunately, a lot of the news is bad. Like, it's a lot of negative news, but I feel like it's not getting covered on the scale that I believe it should be. So I still wanted to cover it and go over it nonetheless. So first was Kodak Black and his comments about Lauren London and how he's gonna give her a year before he tries to holler at her. First off, I'm just gonna say flat out, that was the dumbest thing he probably has ever said. He shouldn't have said it. There's no room for a comment like that. And a lot of people want to make the excuse for Kodak that like, oh, he's young, so he has to learn. He doesn't understand yet, blah, blah, blah. But he's 21 years old. You know what I'm saying? So there's no, to me, you're a grown ass man. There's no excuse for that. You know, you can't treat him like he's a child. And if you want to use age as the excuse, then what's the cutoff? So he's 21 now. So if he was 22, would that be acceptable? Or is it 23 or 24? So that's why I feel like when people say, oh, he's young, and they want to use age as an excuse, they want to use youth as an excuse for people doing dumb stuff. I mean, sometimes that is a legitimate excuse, but when it comes to coming out the mouth and saying stupid stuff like Kodak said, that's just not an excuse in my mind ever. So, you know, we saw a lot of people try to get at him, like T.I. and Game, tell him he needs to check himself, and he does. And I actually like the fact that the OGs like that, T.I. and the Game, reached out to him. I mean, yeah, they kind of came on some rah-rah type stuff, but like, you know what I'm saying? He needed to be checked. And I feel like if you look at a lot of the young rap stars that are in the game right now, and when they come out their mouth saying something really wild, and you kind of look at who's around them, you realize they don't have an OG like in their corner, somebody older who's been through the game, kind of mentoring them, letting them know like, yo, man, that's not the move. Yo, you got to watch yourself when it comes to that topic, and you know how you talk about that, and show them how to move and things like that. So I like the fact that T.I. in the Game kind of, you know, they kind of big brothered him, and just let him know that what he said, it won't be tolerated, and that he needs to think wisely before he ever makes a comment like that on social media again, especially about something so raw and still as fresh as the passing of Nipsey Hussle. So the first of the many topics that I felt like were being pushed aside and not really talked about as much as they should be was the 3 burnings of 3 historically black churches in Louisiana. So a suspect was arrested. 21-year-old Holden Matthews was charged with 3 counts of simple arson. He is the son of a sheriff's deputy, and he's known in the past to make comments on far-right neo-Nazi Facebook pages of this known European rock musician who actually did 15 years in prison for murdering another musician and for actually burning down churches in Norway. So this musician that he probably listens to and possibly idolizes is probably where he got the inspiration to carry out such an evil act. And when I see stories like this, it really, you know, to be honest, it pisses me off to see that black people being targeted just for, you know, for the color of their skin. And again, I felt like this isn't being covered. This happened in like late March, over the span of 10 days, late March into early April. Over the span of 10 days, he burned down 3 churches. And I've seen maybe 2 or 3 articles talking about this, you know, and I don't watch TV that much myself, so I don't know really how the news stations are covering it. But even on social media, I follow a lot of news station social media accounts, and I don't see any posts from them about this. It's just another story of black people being targeted in violence, and but it's in hate-based attacks and violence, but it's being pushed aside and not seen as important as other things that are being covered. And what also makes me so angry about situations like this is that you don't see black people targeting, you know, other races based in hate-filled attacks and violence, but yet we're always seen as inherently criminal and inherently violent. That's always the way we're perceived in various forms of media. And again, like I said, I don't watch TV like that anymore, but I don't see any posts on social media or anything like that. But God forbid I say bank black or buy black or anything like that, or we as black people as a whole show pride in being black, and then white people act like, you know, the sky is falling. They act like the world is coming to an end if we show any sense of pride in being melanated. But, you know, these acts of violence are carried out against us but there's not that same level of outrage for these attacks of violence. Now, these next two are especially difficult to talk about. I've already posted about one of these on my social media as well. The murder of a 13-year-old Black Houston girl by the name of, I hope I'm saying this right, Kodak Francis. On her way home from school, she was jumped by other classmates. She was kicked in the head, and the incident was recorded on video, and in the video you can actually hear other kids in the back laughing in the background. It's just especially difficult to talk about when she was so young. She had so much life to live. And like I said in that social media post, just reading the article brought me to tears. To see such disregard of a Black life. And I'm sure whatever it was that the girls were fighting over, it couldn't have been that serious. I know me and a lot of my friends, we talk now how we reminisce and look back to our middle school days and how we think about the things that we thought were so catastrophic and we thought were so serious, and you know, we felt like the world was ending. And you look back now and you realize it's not that deep. Nothing at the age of 13 can be that deep amongst other 13-year-olds. So to show such a lack of empathy and love to another human being, it's hard to see. And also a 15-year-old Black kid by the name of Nigel Shelby unfortunately took his life due to him being bullied for being gay. So the thing about Nigel Shelby is that he wasn't just bullied because he was gay. He was bullied because he was unapologetically gay. You know, we in the Black community, we talk about being unapologetically Black or unapologetically African. So why can't we keep that same energy when it comes to our brothers and sisters of the LGBT community? That's one thing that I think we all have to work on. And at least in my own opinion, I've heard other people who share the same opinion. But to me, this homophobia and hypocrisy against homosexuality in the Black community stems from the Black church. You know, we all grew up in the church learning that homosexuality was a sin. We made jokes like it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But to me, why can we so quickly tell another Black person who's a homosexual or that is trans or anything like that? Why are we so quick to tell them, oh, you're going to hell, you're going to hell? We're so quick to jump on them for that. But we all got family members that rob, kill, steal, sell dope to our own people of our own community. You know what I'm saying? So people who are actually hurting the Black community aren't being told by the Black church that they're going to hell. We forgive and we forgive and we forgive. But if you're a part of the LGBT community, we don't keep that same energy. So that's a lot of hypocrisy on the behalf of Black people that we deeply need to work on, because another life doesn't need to be taken, whether suicide or homicide. And it's something that we need to face, and it's something we gotta fix really soon. You know, I didn't intend for this episode to be like so dark and, you know, have such sad news, but like I've said, I feel like these stories need to be talked about on a grander scale. They need to be talked about more because they are issues that they are rooted in issues that exist in the white community and the Black community. Like I said, Black people need to come to grips with our hypocrisy and our homophobia, and white people like a Holden Matthews need to come to grips with their fear, their irrational fear of Black people. So it's something that I desperately wanted to talk about because as I've also mentioned before, doing these videos is kind of like venting for me. To see these stories, to hear these stories and read them, especially the ones like the 13-year-old girl, Kodak Francis, and Nigel Shelby, it hurts to hear. But you want to talk about it no matter how sad it is, because oftentimes these stories involving Black people can be pushed aside, swept under the rug, like other things that I've talked about, like Black Wall Street and the history of black people like Mansa Musa. So to wrap this up, I just want to leave you guys with something that came to me as I was preparing to make this episode in reference to Kasha Francis and Nigel Shelby. In my spoken word video that I made, I said that police seem to have no regard for black bodies. And that's always going to be true. But unfortunately, sometimes neither do we. Thanks for watching.